Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Monday. We are back from the weekend with 3 hours here of Sports Talk on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video streaming channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, WIBW News on Facebook. However, wherever, whenever you're tuning into the program today, thank you so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuy will be along in the 4 o'clock hour. Brendan Dworzinski is off today. We are with you until 6 o'clock, whereupon we will kick it to the Royals Baseball Network for the first of 3 games at Kauffman Stadium in a series between the Royals and the Baltimore Orioles. Pre-game coverage again right at the top of the 6 o'clock hour. First pitch from the K set at 6:40. That is provided they have not folded the Royals franchise, which I checked before we went on the air. And as far as I know, the Royals are still a going baseball concern, though concern is a much more appropriate word in a different definition for the state of things right now for the boys in blue, whose losing streak has now reached 7 after a sweep in the Bronx by the Yankees. The Royals hold the American League's worst record entering play today, and only the Mets, thank goodness for the Mets. You know, sometimes it's nice to know when it comes to measures of futility that there will always be the Mets. There will always be the Mets right there to walk hand in glove and say, you are not alone in your misery, for we too exist. And we, too, have lost a bunch of games in a row. It's 11 for the Mets. Only the Mets keeping the Royals from being all by their lonesome at the very bottom of baseball's standings. 7-15, the worst team in the American League. Your Kansas City Royals. And believe you me, plenty to say about the listless, gutless, embarrassing Kansas City Royals performance from Saturday and Sunday at Yankee Stadium. Because it is one thing to lose. It is quite another to lay down the way the Royals did this weekend. And it wasn't just the non-competitive nature of their effort. It's the sloppiness of it. It's the lack of accountability. It's the seeming lack of authority in the dugout that make all of this not only seem like it is at rock bottom for the Kansas City Royals, but also make it feel like there is no path to turning it around anytime soon. Remember, at this time last year, same number of games played, the Royals were only 1 game better off, 8-14. And then they reeled off 16 wins in their next 18 games. I ask you this, does it feel like that's remotely achievable for this Royals team right now? Doesn't feel like it to me. So lots to say about the Royals here on 580 Sports Talk today, and I'm sure you have a lot to say about them as well. Looking forward to hearing from you as we go along today. We'll get into some football as well. We are trying to fit Matt Verderame in today. Obviously, it's a busy week for anybody who covers the NFL, and that includes our NFL insider, Matt Verderame. What I can tell you about Matt is he will not be on at his regular time of 3:35 today. So you won't hear from Matt in this first hour. We are hopeful that we can get Matt in the 4 o'clock hour today. If not, we're going to try and grab him on tomorrow's show and should be able to grab him on tomorrow's show. So we are hoping to hear from Matt Verderame. Whether we do or not, there is lots to talk about as we have finally reached the week of the 2026 NFL Draft. And you get to this stage of it, you're spinning up new rumors. You're trying to build up some new prospects. By my count, there are about 78 players who, quote, could sneak into the first round, end quote, by this stage of things. And the latest Chiefs rumor that was out there over the weekend doesn't really make any sense. And I'll explain why it doesn't really make any sense. So we'll get into some draft talk. We'll get into some league-wide draft talk as well. Big move over the weekend. The Bengals trading the number 10 overall pick for a guy who had half a sack more last year than I did, Dexter Lawrence of the Giants. That's not fair to Lawrence, who's established as a very good player and played hurt last year, but the facts are the facts. So we'll get to that as well. And the perception of this draft, like over here in the kingdom, we're kind of fired up for this draft. We're kind of intrigued by this draft. 2 picks in the first round and 3 in the top 40 will do that. But broadly speaking, this does not seem to be a draft lighting anybody's fire. Why is that? And we'll get into that a little bit later on in the show today. So in addition to some baseball and some football, we'll have our typical Monday shenanigans on the show. We got our 580 Sports Talk headlines, including a playoff roundup and including some basketball transfer portal news. Both KU and K-State adding ball-handling guards in the portal over the weekend. K-State making theirs official on Saturday, and KU landing one. Really, I think the commitment was announced earlier this morning. So you'll get to know Montana Wheeler and Leroy Blyden Jr. A little bit. We'll get into them a little later on. We got a new week of What Is Wrong With You. We'll get underway. We got the good, bad, ugly from the sports weekend that was as well. I want to hear from you on the show today. I especially want to hear from Royals fans on the show today. The text line is open, 785-272-9429. You can also interact with the program. If you are watching live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, the name of that channel, go subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. Doesn't cost you anything but a click or a tap of your cell phone screen. But if you are watching the program live on 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, hop in that live chat. Say hello. Grow the conversation and grow that 580 Sports Talk community. I see Andrew, Mark H., Christopher, Vance, Carl, David in the chat today. And I think that's everybody. Christopher, I think I said. And look forward to hearing from you folks and even more of you as we go along on the live chat today on 580 Sports Talk. And again, the text line, 785-272-9429. And speaking of the text line, I owe you a word, a keyword for today's Win 1K a Day sweepstakes from 580 WIBW. We are giving away $1,000 every single day on this radio station. And the way you get registered is by texting a new keyword every hour to 785-272-9429. And your keyword for the 3 o'clock hour on this Monday, April 20th, is toy. 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 Text toy to 785-272-9429. You have until 4 o'clock to text that word toy, T-O-Y, to 785-272-9429. Get yourself registered for your chance to win $1,000 today from 580 WIBW. So last year when the Royals started 8-14, things weren't pretty. I remember sitting behind this microphone saying a lot of the same things that I've said to date this year. Things like, it's ugly early, but it's April. It's kind of a flesh wound in the grand scheme of things. This team's been competitive. Obviously, the offense isn't where you want it to be. They're not competitive because their best players haven't been good enough on offense. They get that squared away, maybe they can turn things around. A lot of competitive losses in that stretch, that 22-game stretch early last year. It wasn't a whole lot of games where their starter was getting knocked out of the box, or they were giving up double-digit runs. In fact, as I'm thinking back on it, I don't know that they gave up double-digit runs even once in the first 22 games last year, maybe just once. It's a lot of close losses, a lot of 3-1, a lot of 3-2, a lot of 4-1, games like that. But it felt like, yeah, the Royals are just underachieving right now. They are underachieving. They're just not quite playing their best baseball. It's a long season. Hopefully they get things turned around. And it turned around pretty quick in that short time frame. They went from 6 games under 500 to 8 games over 500 in an 18-game stretch. And even the start of this road trip that the Royals concluded with yesterday's 7-0 loss in the Bronx to the Yankees sort of felt like that. All 3 games in Detroit were winnable. Tying run was 90 feet away on Tuesday night, and on Wednesday night. And, of course, there was the unpleasantness of Thursday afternoon, a 2-run lead, 1 out, 1 strike to go, and the Royals couldn't seal the deal. And then on Friday night, Vinny Pasquantino ties the game at 2 late with a home run. Unfortunately, Ryan McMahon hits a pop-up that carries out in that closet they call a ballpark at Yankee Stadium. And the Yankees end up taking that game 4-2. Another 8th inning meltdown. The 8th inning has been such a mess for the Royals this year. I think they could get prime Wade Davis. They could conjure prime Wade Davis and put him in the 8th inning right now, and it wouldn't go any better. Feels like the inning is cursed. But even those first 4 games of the road trip feel like frustrating, yes, but they're right there. All 4 of those games could easily have been Royals wins. You cannot say that about Saturday's 13-4 beating. You certainly cannot say that about yesterday's 7-0 defeat. And those 2 games, not just the final scores, just everything about the last 18 innings of Royals baseball show that this thing is rotten, man. And it's not just the on-the-field stuff either. Oh, don't you worry. We're going to get to Quatraro v. Perez here in just a little bit. This thing is rotten, and there is nothing right now in the way the Royals are playing that suggests that they're going to go and rip off any kind of meaningful winning streak anytime soon. Never mind the kind of winning run that they went on last year that righted the ship and gave them a chance as Memorial Day approached. You get to that, what Dayton Moore used to refer to, that magic 40-game mark, where you get 40 games in, you feel like you know who you are. Last year, the Royals were 8 over 500 at the 40-game mark. And who knows? Maybe if the pitching staff's arms don't fall off last year, maybe last year has a different ending to the script. This year, they are now a season high 8 games under 500. And there is nothing to suggest that it's going to get better anytime soon. Because it's one thing when you play bad. It's one thing when you play stupid. It's a third thing if you've got such a communication gap between your players and your manager that one of them, oh, by the way, your team captain, takes to multiple forms of social media to correct the manager. When you've got all of that going on, it doesn't go anywhere good, anywhere fast. You could pick an inning at random of the 18 that the Royals played over the weekend, and you could find some example of bad baseball, of bad process, of bad communication, of bad decision-making. There are instances upon instances upon instances of that now in the first 22 games, and they're starting to stack up. But I'll just go ahead and I'll shorten the list. I'll give you 5. I'll give you 5 because there are 5 things that happen that go, how does that happen? How does a Major League Baseball team let that happen? How did Jack Caglione and Kyle Isbell collide on a fly ball in right center field? And oh my God, if you were watching this on TV and Eric Hosmer is on the microphone saying, well, you know, it's really loud in here, like it's October and the stadium's full. Give me a freaking break, Hos. That's a routine fly ball on a lazy Saturday afternoon in April. It doesn't matter where they're playing. Catch the ball. That ball falls and leads to the deluge. 3 home runs off of Noah Cameron in that inning, and a game that had been scoreless in the 3rd inning turned into a rout right then and there. How do you let that happen? Veteran center fielder, take some charge. How many years you been in the bigs, Kyle Isbell? Take some charge. Wave off the kid and make the play. Not the only time some nonsense happened on a pop-up on the weekend. 5th inning of a 4-0 ball game on Sunday. Cody Bellinger hits a dink out to shallow left center field. Out goes Michael Garcia. In comes Isaac Collins. And neither of them decide to catch the ball. Chip Ambrose and Terrence Long are watching that and saying, well, that looked bad, guys. And, of course, that leads to a crooked number on the board. That was the leadoff batter of the 5th inning. 2 batters later, Trent Grisham parks one. It's 7-0, and the rest of the game is a formality. How does that happen? Veteran players. I guess Collins and Garcia, you can say, well, they haven't played a lot of ball together. first month of the season. Garcia's been at third base for 3 years now. Take some charge. Where's the shortstop? Bobby, team leader. Where are you? Take some charge. How does that happen? Speaking of team leader Bobby Witt Jr., how the hell do you get picked off when you're trailing 5-0 on Saturday? It is a 5-0 baseball game in the fourth inning already. You've just given up the 5 runs on the 3 home runs in the bottom of the third. And Bobby Witt leads off the inning with a single. Heart of the order coming up. Vinny Pasquantino pops up. And then Bobby Witt Jr. with Jack Caglione up and ahead in the count 3-1 gets picked off of first base. How does that happen? Your run doesn't mean anything. You're 5-0 in the fourth. You're not going anywhere. You're in the middle of the order coming up. That's so sloppy. That's so careless. It lacks attention to detail. It shows me you're going through the motions and you feel like you're already beat and your mind is somewhere else. Your head is gone. You get picked off of first base when you're trailing 5-0. And speaking of base path misadventures, how in the world do you make the last out of an inning at home with a catcher trying to score from first on Sunday when you are losing 7-0? If your run doesn't mean anything down 5-0, your run really doesn't mean anything down 7-0. And I think you and I are faster around the bases than Elias Diaz. I am very familiar with Elias Diaz as a player. I've watched a lot of Elias Diaz. That's former All-Star Game MVP, Rocky great Elias Diaz to you, the newest member of the Royals, called up on Sunday. Remember that brief moment where we thought maybe he was being called up because Salvador Perez had gone rogue or something? That was a wild time on social media on Saturday night into Sunday morning. Anyway, 2 outs. Bobby Witt Jr. hits a missile out to center field. Why are you trying to score Elias Diaz from first? It's not as though, oh, man, he's got to tip your cap to the defense. They made a perfect relay throw. They did make a good relay throw. And Diaz is out by 10 feet. And what if he scores? What if, we put the pressure on the defense and they didn't make the play. What if he scores? It's 7-1. Congrats. You got the middle of the order coming up after Bobby. Maybe Vinny finds a hole the next batter up, and hey, Bobby Witt Jr. scores as a trail runner. Now it's a 7-2 ball game. Or maybe Pasquantino, like he did Friday night, pokes one out of the ballpark. And then it's 7-3. And you've got a little energy. And you've got some new life. Instead, you got Elias Diaz chugging around third, trying to score from first like his run matters. And it doesn't when you're down 7-0. And the play's not even close. It's one thing if he's out by an inch and you tip your cap. He was out by 10 feet. Sloppy, careless, lack of attention to detail, going through the motions. Your head is gone. Your head is somewhere else. But you know what made me the maddest? You know what made me the most angry watching the Royals play this weekend? How do you let Cole Ragans wear it like he did yesterday on a day when it's obvious that Ragans doesn't have it? And it's not, oh, man, he's around the plate, but he's just getting cuffed around. It's one of those days they're seeing him good. He's just a little bit off. He's off by, inches, half inches, just marginally missing the plate, and he's getting tattooed. And it happens. It happens to aces. It happens to fifth starters and everybody in between. Some days you just don't have it. You get hit around, and that's baseball. That wasn't what was happening to Cole Ragans yesterday. He could not find the plate. He could not throw a strike. Cole Ragans, who in his Royals career has demonstrated pretty good control, maybe not like elite control, but pretty good control for a guy who throws as hard and strikes out as many guys as he does. He walked 8 in 4 1/3, and it's not like it disappeared on him out of nowhere. He couldn't find the plate in the first inning. He walked 4 guys and gave up 3 runs. And then in the second inning, the command got marginally better, but not enough that he doesn't give up another home run to Ben Rice. He's down 4-0 after 2 innings. He can't find the plate. You have Matt Quatraro, an entirely fresh bullpen. Everyone is rested. Nobody in that bullpen who was on the team yesterday pitched an inning on Saturday because you had Mitch Spence in to clean up Cameron's mess and then optioned him down and called up Mason Black. You've got an entirely fresh bullpen. But you let your ace wear it for 4+ innings on a day where he doesn't have it, and you let him get cuffed around and fight his command and drown out there? That's how you treat your ace? That is your guy. That is your rock. That's your opening day starter. And you let him drown? I know there's a game tonight. And I know that you'd like to keep your bullpen powder dry if you've got a game the next day. Probably would have been a different calculus for Matt Quatraro if the Royals had been off today, if today had been a travel day. But I'm telling you, there should have been a different calculus anyway, based upon that is your ace. And that is not how you treat your ace. There is no reason to let Reagans flounder around like that. When you've got everybody in the bullpen, get him out of the game, because the signal then is, well, this game is lost. We're just going to let this guy eat it. Like he's the 5th starter and you're playing for the 10th straight day and the bullpen is taxed. That's one thing. To treat your ace like that, that was the worst thing Matt Quatraro did this weekend. And again, he kind of got into it publicly with his team captain. All of those things I just laid out to you. It's listless. It's careless. It's sloppy. It's a lack of feel. It's a lack of attention to detail. It tells me that these guys' brains are on the moon. And it tells me that there is not a 16-2 stretch coming for this baseball team anytime soon, which tells me in turn that we could be, I never say for sure because April is April, but this could be the start of a very long season for the Kansas City Royals. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, definitely looking for your thoughts, 785-272-9429, and on the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk in the live chat. We're going to talk a little bit more about Matt Quatraro and what level of authority he is displaying right now. Because frankly, it doesn't seem like much. We got good, bad, ugly from the weekend that was. You can maybe guess what ugly is. We got plenty of NFL talk coming up later on in the program. We're going to try to get Matt Verderame in the 4 o'clock hour. Lots of Chiefs draft stuff, NFL draft stuff. We got a jam-packed show today. We're with you till 6. Really glad you're along for the start here on 580 Sports Talk. 3:31 on 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. It's so good to be with you on this Monday. Matt Verderame will join us at 4:06, the top of the 4 o'clock hour. We're going to be joined by our NFL insider, Matt Verderame. So just about half an hour later than usual for Matt today. But grateful that he is going to take the time to join us. Obviously, busy time for him with regards to the upcoming NFL draft, which starts Thursday night. We'll also, in the 4 o'clock hour, give you the lowdown on what our plans are as a 580 Sports Talk crew for some live stream reaction to the Chiefs picks on day one of the NFL draft. We're going to do some live reaction for you good folks coming up on Thursday night. So stay tuned, and we'll give you some reaction to that. Let's get to some reaction here on 580 Sports Talk. The 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel is where you can jump into the live chat. Carl asks an important question about the Royals. Why does this team have zero sense of urgency? And look, you can point to this group and say, hey, last April, things didn't go real well, but they turned it around. They had that stretch where they went 16-2, and they were in really good shape early May when Cole Reagans went on the injured list. And even though that enabled them to bring Noah Cameron to the big leagues and didn't miss too much of a beat, frankly, with the way that Cameron pitched in Reagans' stead, the depth of the team started to be strained a little bit. And then, of course, they had that miserable June where nothing went right. And that sort of canceled out that really nice run at the end of April and the beginning of May. The two things about that run, though. Number one, you know how that run began. They won a game in Detroit on getaway day after that awful road trip. And then they got to go home and play the 2025 Colorado Rockies, which was a pretty good team to have on your schedule in 2025 if you wanted to get right. And they swept the Rockies like pretty much everybody did last year, and then took 2 out of 3 from a Houston team that was also in a really bad way to start the season, and going 5-6, 5-1 on that homestand really sort of catapulted them. Of course, you know who they got to play after that? They got to play the White Sox, the 2025 White Sox. So the schedule softened up in a major way, and in a way, frankly, that it doesn't really do here. Like, I don't think the Angels and A's are great teams, but they're better than the 2025 versions of the Rockies and White Sox. And that's who the Royals have lined up after Baltimore comes to town for these 3 games this week. So that's one way in which things are different, because David had asked the same similar question. Your thoughts from last year when the Royals started slow, was it this bad? The results were very similar. It's the process that's been bad for the Royals. It's the sloppiness. It's the listlessness. The at-bats are non-competitive. They lost 13-4 on Saturday, and I'm here to tell you that game wasn't that close. They got 2 bonus runs with 2 out in the 9th. But otherwise, they were headed toward another night of scoring 2 or fewer runs, which seems to be the only setting this Royals offense has to this point. Now, there's some similarities. Like, again, this team is not built, and this is not a criticism of the Royals necessarily. This is just in general about baseball teams. Your best players have to be your best players. I've said it over and over again, and that has not happened for the Royals. Bobby Witt Jr. starting to come around a little bit, but still homerless. And Michael Garcia has cooled off, and Pasquantino and Perez continue to be, shall we say, substandard at the plate. So that's the biggest issue the Royals have, and the reason broadly for the record that they have earned. But over the weekend, you start to see real rot, and not just, oh, this is a slump. This is a funk. This is something that, you know, a good team can pull itself out of. Like, the Mets have lost 11 in a row. They haven't had Juan Soto for this stretch. Like, you like to think you get your most expensive guy and your best bat back in the lineup. Okay, maybe things turn around a little bit. The Phillies have really struggled. You can look at some, the analytics suggest they've been really unlucky at the plate and in the field in terms of batting average on balls in play. They've also not been healthy. They get Zach Wheeler back. That's going to help their pitching staff. You can look at those things and say, man, we've been unlucky, but there are some things that are going to happen that are going to turn this thing around. For the Royals, it's all performance. All of it is performance. You're not playing well enough to have a better record than this. You've earned 7-15. And that's the biggest difference. Like last year, they were 8-14, but it felt like, man, they're just pretty unlucky. He's got to get their big guns rolling. And then they did, and they had a really nice run. But the schedule helped a lot. It's not going to help as much this time around. And there's nothing else underlying that suggests the turnaround is particularly imminent. Andrew has a question that I think a lot of you are asking. And rather than answer it right now, I'm going to take a timeout and I'm going to address the idea of moving on from Matt Quatraro in just a moment instead, because I think I know there's a lot of that on social media. Andrew asked the question in the live chat. I'm going to answer that after this timeout. We'll talk some more Royals next on 580 Sports Talk. .340 on 580 Sports Talk. Again, Royals baseball tonight. They'll try and snap their 7-game skid against the Baltimore Orioles. Seth Lugo on the bump for Kansas City. Good time for a Seth Lugo start. He's been a bright spot. Kyle Bradish on the mound for the Birds. 6 o'clock pregame, 6:40 first pitch here on 580 WIBW. Speaking of the Orioles, back in 1988, they fired their manager, Cal Ripken Sr., after 6 games. 6 games. They had lost all 6 of those games. I believe they made Frank Robinson the interim manager, Hall of Fame player, and in some situations had some managerial success. That Orioles team in 1988 would go on to lose their first 21 games. They were 0-21. So you think you have it bad. Imagine having been a fan of the 1988 Baltimore Orioles. Also, I don't remember what year it was, but Phil Garner got fired 6 games into a season with the Tigers. The late Phil Garner, he recently passed away, in fact. last week, I think, scrap iron, Phil Garner. He was fired 6 games into a season. That is the fastest a manager has ever been fired. And I bring that up because, as I mentioned, Andrew in the YouTube chat asks, how soon before the Royals fire Quatraro and Alex Umwalt do they wait until the offseason? So for the most part, teams are going to be real hesitant to make that kind of a big decision until the season is further along. It's not just Dayton Moore that thinks you got to get about 40 games in before you know what kind of situation you have, what kind of team you have. That's pretty widely held belief around Major League Baseball. So is Matt Quatraro going to show up? Did he show up today and the key card didn't work? Not that I've heard. He wrote up the lineup tonight. And I would not expect there to be any major staff changes. It would really surprise me if it happened before the end of April. Let's say that. A lot of times you start to see teams maybe move on that early in May, and that's for teams that have had no expectations of being good but are worse than imagined. Like, there were 3 managers that got fired early May last year. Bud Black in Colorado, Brandon Hyde in Baltimore, and whoever it was in Pittsburgh. Was it Derek Shelton? Don Kelly, I forget. I think it was Shelton. But Pittsburgh fired their manager early last year. So early, mid-May is about the earliest you would see historically something like that happen. As to the implied second part of your question, is that what the Royals should do? You know, you hear a lot about accountability in sports, and I think you almost hear it more so in reference to losing teams. You hear it's kind of wielded as a cudgel towards losing teams, a reason that a losing team, particularly an underachieving losing team, and we can, given the preseason expectations I think a lot of people had for this Royals team, I think we can file them under underachieving pretty comfortably 22 games in. And you use the word accountability as kind of a cudgel, as in terms of a lack of accountability. And that's why a team is complacent or sloppy or underachieving. The thought is that if nobody is holding the best players accountable, then there's resentment and frustration in the clubhouse. And if your leaders aren't standing up and holding themselves accountable, nobody else is going to do it in the clubhouse either. Nobody's accountable to anybody but themselves. And that is also a way to foster a losing environment. Accountability in the clubhouse became a bit of a flashpoint on Saturday night. Matt Quatraro had told the media that the reason Salvador Perez did not play on Saturday was that he was getting a mental breather. And let's be charitable to both men who both spoke yesterday and appear to have buried the hatchet, at least public facing, and call it a miscommunication, call it a misunderstanding. And Salvador Perez may have been offended by the idea that he needed a mental day off. And that was a poor choice of words on Matt Quatraro's part, which led Salvador Perez, who basically on X just retweets and posts emojis. It takes a lot to get him to post anything other than that. Went on late on Saturday after the 13-4 loss and posted, "I don't need a mental breather." And then on his Instagram, posted a screenshot of the article from MLB.com and referred to it as fake. In case you missed all of that. Let's give the two of them a benefit of the doubt and call it a disagreement, a misunderstanding. We'll cloak it in some euphemisms for now. But that's not the kind of thing that goes public if Salvador Perez has more respect for the authority of his manager. That's the kind of thing that if you really respect the authority of your boss as the team captain, you don't air that out in public. That's a behind closed doors conversation. That's maybe even a text. Skip, what the hell do you mean I need a mental break? I don't need a mental break. What are you talking about? Why would you say that? Even if it is frustration and anger, that's got to be a point where you hash that out privately. You don't make it everybody's business if you've got regard for the authority of your manager. But on the flip side, how does Salvador Perez find himself in the lineup card on Sunday? Because that's the kind of thing you air out your manager, publicly disagree with him in that kind of fashion. how did Matt Quatraro write his name in the lineup card on Sunday? If Matt Quatraro has an appropriate amount of authority in the clubhouse, if there is a true concept of accountability in that clubhouse, Salvador Perez shouldn't have played on Sunday. Say, hey, look, that wasn't cool. That's not how a captain should behave. You're going to sit. You're going to ride the oak. We got Jensen. He'll DH. We called somebody up to catch. You sit the pine today, and we'll have you back in the lineup on Monday. And we'll clear the air on this, and that's not going to happen again. But you don't get to play if you question my authority, you question me in that way. So there is some evidence pointing to a lack of authority being wielded in this clubhouse by their manager. Here's another example, an even more obvious one. On Saturday, when the Royals had only lost 5 in a row, and frankly, all 5 of those losses had been tight games, right? Like 5 in a row, it sucked. Losing Friday night was no fun, but the Royals have been competitive every single one of those games. Late inning losses, gut punch losses, but when you're losing close, you feel like you're right there. We just need a bounce. We just need a break. We just need a ground ball with eyes. We just need a duck snort that finds the grass, and we'll be all right. Matt Quatraro goes out to argue something after the top half of the first inning on Saturday and gets himself ejected from the game. And how many times, if you follow baseball, you've seen managers do this. It probably happens dozens of times across all 30 teams in the course of a season. A manager deciding, I got to light a fire under my guys. I'm going to show them I'm fighting for them. That's what it is. I'm going to show my guys that I care, that I'm fighting for them, that they matter to me. I'm going to go and sacrifice myself. I'm going to get myself run. And I'm going to get myself tossed from this game to prove a point to my players about my desire to win, my level of investment in winning, my level of investment in having these guys' backs. Royals lost that game 13-4. And again, that final score was not a fair reflection of that baseball game. That was as much of an ass kicking as you were going to see over the course of 162 games, one team deal out to another. That is another not great sign about the authority currently being wielded in the Royals clubhouse. Now, I know some people want to have the conversation about J.J. Picollo, whether there should be some more heat, some more criticism for him, whether expectations were too high for this team given the roster construction. But I do not think that the Royals have a 111-loss roster. And that is the pace that they are on right now, for the record. You do the math. 7-15 is a 51-win pace. It's 111 losses. I don't think the Royals have a 51-111 roster. I don't, and I bet you don't either. I'll bet you don't either. So I don't think the conversation about roster construction is the one to have right now. Meet me at the 40-game mark. We can talk about it then. But this Royals team is playing like a 111-loss team. Like, this isn't an accident that they find themselves with the record that they have. And it's due to sloppy play, and it's due, to your point and question about Alex Zumwalt and his job security, due to the lowest scoring offense in baseball. This team has played wholly uninspired the last couple of days. And at the end of the day, your job as a manager in modern Major League Baseball is to manage people and personalities and to, in effect, inspire. Being a manager is not about tactics anymore, right? It's not about pushing the right buttons. It's about understanding data and converting the data into decision-making. It's a different game. It's a different game than it was in the days of Casey Stengel and Earl Weaver, right? So I'm not going to sit here and talk about, well, lineup construction or bullpen usage. You're going by the book a lot of times. And Matt Quatraro, I think, is a pretty by-the-book manager as those things go. Most managers are. But the part about managing people, managing personalities, getting your players to play inspired baseball, that's the important part of the job. And I think that Matt Quatraro's touch in those departments was found lacking this weekend. And if it continues to be found lacking, if the listless baseball that the Royals have played becomes more of a trend as April turns into May, if there are more base running misadventures, fielding misadventures, pitchers being left to drown on the mound when they don't have their command and everybody can see it, if those things persist, that's the kind of thing that does get a change made relatively early in the season. That may not be the fire and brimstone answer, but that's an honest answer about whether or not there is real concern right now, or ought to be, about the job security for Matt Quatraro. As far as Alex Zumwalt goes, they hired 2 new guys to be hitting coaches this year. That, to me, suggests that the leftover guy is going to be the fall guy if and when they decide there should be a fall guy. And that's, I don't have anything more to add than that. We'll take a break, come back with the good, the bad, the ugly from the week that was here on 580 Sports Talk. It's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly from the weekend that was. There's a lot of good from this weekend for me. Got the first mow of the year knocked out. Some of you might be thinking, Dan, what took you so long? I mean, I got a 22-month-old, man. Cut me some slack. Got the first mow of the year done this weekend, which was good. Great sports weekend for my favorite teams. Avs and Nugs both go up 1-0 in their playoff series. That was kind of nice. Rockies took 2 from the Dodgers. I enjoyed that immensely. Also good from the weekend. Did y'all see how Gary Woodland wrapped up the RBC Heritage at Harbortown? Did you see his final shot of the weekend? If you didn't, you should go see it. It's a 204-yard laser beam of a fairway iron that takes 2 hops, checks up, drops into the cup for an eagle. Got G-Dub into the top 10. Another good weekend for the pro sports franchise of Topeka, Kansas. And he capped it off in style, man. That's one of the best shots. Just an awesome golf shot. Low trajectory, just a bullet. I would get what I wouldn't give to hit a golf ball one time in my life the way Gary Woodland hit that. I think it was a 3-iron, maybe a 4. Maybe not even that. For me, it'd be a 4. 204 yards. I'm probably hitting a 4-iron. He probably hit a 7. But whatever he hit, nuke, eagle, walk it off to finish in the top 10 and a tie for 8th. That was my good from the weekend. My bad, first mow of the year means first encounter with spring allergies of the year. And those had your boy down kind of bad yesterday. Not going to lie to you there. That was a rough part. My ugly is the Kansas City Royals. Again, I'll take a 2-1, a 10-9, a 4-2. I'll take those losses. Those are explainable. Those things happen. Those games turn on a pitch, or those games turn on a batted ball. To be humiliated in the way that the Royals were on the weekend, and not just humiliated because the Yankees were so much better at baseball, which, I mean, the Yankees hit a bunch of home runs. They played well. But it was also the Royals playing so poorly. Drop fly balls, poor base running, poor pitching, no command. Just a disgusting display of baseball over the last 18 innings for the Royals. I'd like to believe we'll get better starting today, but I'm reminded of the words of former Royals manager Buddy Bell. I never say it can't get worse. Matt Verderame is going to join us top of the 4 o'clock hour. We're talking NFL draft in the 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. We are with you until 6 o'clock tonight. We'll hand it off to the Royals Baseball Network at that point. Royals and Orioles, game 1 of 3 between those two squads at Kauffman Stadium tonight. First pitch set for 6:40. Again, pregame coverage at 6 o'clock. Quick transaction note for the Royals. They have placed Jonathan India on the injured list. Apparently a left shoulder subluxation suffered by India over the weekend, and he has been placed on the IL. Nick Lofton recalled from AAA Omaha to replace him. But we'll set aside the unpleasantness that is the 2026 Royals for now, as we welcome in our NFL insider on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Matt Verderame is our guest. He covers the league for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Also appears on That Football Show and the KC Sports Network, and has his own subscriber-only Patreon, The Matt Verderame Show. Matt, it is finally draft week, so I want to start here. Are you as down on the level of talent in this draft as it seems like the industry kind of has settled in on being as the draft approaches?
No, not really. I mean, I think I think a lot of times it's determined by the quarterbacks. And if the quarterbacks aren't good, then everybody thinks the draft stinks. There's a lot of talent in the draft. There's a lot of talent at edge rusher. There are plenty of receivers. I don't think the receiving class is great, but there's a good half dozen, 10 guys. It wouldn't surprise me if they go on to have really good careers. Running back's not good. Left tackle's terrible. Right tackle's decent. But there's a lot of interior offensive line options. I think defensively, the one spot that's probably pretty bad is D tackle. Once you get past the first 3-4 guys, even those guys are probably late first, early second rounders. But there's a lot of corners. Corners, it's a good class. Safety's pretty good class. I think it is very soft where it's soft, like quarterback, running back, D tackle. But I think there's a lot of depth at some positions. I would not be surprised if teams walk out of this draft going, hey, you know what? In the end, we got a couple of real good starters, maybe another couple of rotational players. Get that? You're pretty happy with your draft.
A lot of people may differ on the answer to this question, but I'm curious to get your answer to this question. If there is one player out of this draft who, when we're looking back at their career one day, they were multi-time All-Pro, perennial Pro Bowler, impacted winning, had a Canton caliber NFL career, who would you say with this draft would be the closest thing to feeling like a guy like that?
I would say Jeremiah Love, based on the fact I think he's the best player in the draft. Now, look, running backs get in the Hall of Fame, so he's tough because how long do they play? How long is their peak? I mean, so many guys are unbelievable for 3 years, and that's it. But Love is somebody I think is going to be really, really good, if not great. I think Carnell Tate's going to be really good. Defensively, the only thing that holds me back on Reese is just how is he being played? Like, I think Arvell Reese to me is the classic guy. He's got to go to the right coach and be put in the right position. Because when you get these guys, it's like, well, he could play this or he could do that. That always scares me when that guy goes to a bad team. It's like, okay, well, do you know what you're doing with him? I don't think there's any quarterback like that in this draft. At the end, Bailey and Bain are probably my two favorite edge rushers. They're totally different players, but I like them both. I'll tell you the other guy. I think Mansour Delane is going to be fantastic. Like I wouldn't be surprised if that kid is an All-Pro in his first couple of years. I think he could be Quinyon Mitchell-esque. So defensively, he's probably my best bet in the draft, and offensively, give me Jeremiah Love.
Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated, SI.com is our guest. He is our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. What about the wide receiver spot, Matt? How do you have those top-tier wide receivers ranked? Because I think the broad assumption throughout much of this process was that Carnell Tate was going to be the first wide receiver off the board. A lot of late helium for Jordan Tyson. Looked like he had a good workout last week, the kid from Arizona State. Now he's showing up in the top 10 of some mock drafts. How do you rank that group?
I would say, Jeremiah Love, based on the fact I think he's the best player in the draft. Now, look, running backs get in the Hall of Fame, so he's tough because how long do they play? How long is their peak? I mean, so many guys are unbelievable for 3 years, and that's it. But I think Tate is the best receiver. Tyson is a fascinating guy because if you just watch him on tape, you watch his games, you could make a very reasonable, sound argument that he is the best receiver in this class. He does things with a larger frame than Tate has that Tate just can't do. The flip side of that is I think the floor for Tate is that he's a very good player. I think the floor for Carnell Tate is he has 4 1,000-yard years and he has 7,000, 8,000 career yards. He's a really good player. And I think the ceiling for him is he's in Canton. Jordan Tyson might have a ceiling of being an all-pro 4 times, and he's also in Canton. The downside is he's also got a floor that he might have his option decline in 3 years because he's played in 20 games. I mean, for anyone who's not familiar, he started Colorado. He blew out his knee, tore 3 ligaments. He basically missed all of the next year. Then at Arizona State, he played 12 games, was really, really good in 2024, but he broke his collarbone at the end of the year. And then last season had a bunch of hamstring injuries to the point that he actually wasn't healthy until his pro day on Friday. So, for me, I would take Tate and Mekhi Lemon before I took Tyson, just simply because I'd be scared to death of him medically in the first 15 picks. But I think somebody, and maybe it's Kansas City, is going to just bet on that talent and say if he's healthy, that guy's 1,500 yards waiting to happen. But it is a huge risk based on the amount of injuries he's had.
Chiefs general manager Brett Veach spoke to the media last week and implied that fans should buckle up, essentially, because he anticipates there are going to be a lot of trades in the first round of this draft. Where could you see that action starting? Do you think there are going to be maybe multiple trades inside the top 10, teams looking to move up, or teams happy to trade back maybe if there's not a player that meets their need that's a blue chipper top 10 kind of player? How active do you really think the early portion of this draft, particularly as it concerns the Chiefs sitting there at number 9, how active do you think that could be?
It could be very active, and I think the reason Brett said that, I don't know this for a fact, but I have a pretty strong idea, is there are a lot of teams that will tell you this draft has some depth to it, but it is not big on high-end talent. It is not a year where you go, there's 20 guys at a first-round grade. There are some teams, normally, I'll usually ask GM, say, how many first-round grades you have? Usually it's around 16 to 18, somewhere in there. I think this year it's 12 to 14. It's not many. So I could see a team like the Cowboys with 12 and 20 saying, screw it. Let's just package 12 and 20 and get the 4 and take Sonny Styles or Arvell Reese if he's available. The Chiefs, I've long held the position that based on their roster, based on things here, I don't think they'll trade up from 9. I think they're more likely to trade up from 29. But, look, there's a world that they could be sitting there and the Browns were on the clock at 6, and they just say, you know what, the heck with it. Let's go get Bain. Let's, Bailey's there. Let's go get him. If Tate's there, I would think the Browns would take him, but maybe not. Maybe they say, let's go get him. That trade with Dexter Lawrence and the Giants also shakes things up because now the Giants at 5, they're going to be more bold and be a little more aggressive at 5 because they have the fallback position at 10. They can do something more aggressive. So, look, I do think there will be some teams that are willing to try to trade into the top 10, 12 picks because that's probably where the real true blue chippers are. Then there's a little bit of a cliff, and you're probably getting a little bit of a discount to get up in there because teams want to trade back, get more picks because I think the sweet spot of this class is probably late first through mid third. I think you're going to see, I would agree with Brett. I think you're going to see a good amount of maneuvering around the board.
You mentioned the Dexter Lawrence trade that happened over the weekend. The Cincinnati Bengals parted with the number 10 overall pick to go and get Lawrence, who's been a very good player in his career, coming off a bit of an injury-marred 2025 campaign. Do you like the deal for Cincinnati? Do you like their thought process behind it?
I got to be honest, I hate the trade for Cincinnati. I don't understand. Because, look, I know the Lawrence last year was horrendous statistically. He had half a sack and 8 quarterback hits, which, to put that into perspective, Aston Gelati had 8 quarterback hits and 1.5 sacks last year, okay, on 300 fewer snaps. I don't like to trade for Cincinnati because this notion that look, if you read between tea leaves and you do this for a living, like the Bengals put out to a bunch of insiders on the night the trade was made, like, well, didn't think we were going to be able to get anybody at 10. Well, then your whole scouting department should be fired. Like, if you don't think you can get anybody at pick number 10, this isn't the NBA draft. This is the NFL. You could get Mansour Lane at 10. You could get Caleb Downs at 10. You could potentially get Ruben Bain at 10. Like, the idea that they just had no chance of getting anybody at 10, I think is crazy. And realistically speaking, look, the Bengals are not one defensive player away from winning Super Bowl. Like, that defense, even with Dexter Lawrence, is horrendous. So, now you're paying a guy into his age 31 season. For those who say, well, it's basically a series of one-year deals and they could get out of it early. Yeah, okay, great. Then you gave up a top 10 pick for what, 1 year of him? 2 years of him? And if you're cutting him early, it's because he was terrible. So, to me, look, if they had given up their second-round pick, or if they were a team like Buffalo, like picking late in the round, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I understand that. A top 10, I can tell you around the league, a lot of people are stunned that the Bengals did that. I mean, look, I understand the Bengals probably felt like our defense is so bad we have to have an anchor there. My argument to that is, no, why didn't you just pay Trey Hendrickson and use the top 10 pick to go get somebody? Like, what? Like, I just think in the end, if you're the Giants, you're thrilled. And if you're the Bengals, yes. Are you better? I mean, yeah, of course. He's probably the best player on that defense immediately. But that's also not saying a whole heck of a lot. And I think if you're the Bengals, you need so much to give up a pick where you could potentially get a guy for the next 8 to 10 years. I don't like it. I think the Giants made out like bandits in that trade.
Our guest is our NFL insider, Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated and SI.com, joining us on the Flipping Place Wine and Spirits hotline, as he does every Monday here on 580 Sports Talk. All right, Matt, let's pivot to the Chiefs. 2 first-round picks, number 9 and number 29. Do you think they make both picks in those spots? And if they do, or make 2 first-round picks in total, what combination of positions is it most likely that those 2 picks end up being?
Okay. My guess is they stick and pick at 9 and they trade up for 29, maybe into the early to mid-20s. Like, that's what they did years ago with McDuffie. Brett Veach is an aggressive general manager. He is not one to sit around. I always picture him in the war room as just like one of those kids at school with his leg going up and down underneath the desk. Like, he does not want to sit there. I think at 9, unless the board falls in a way where they're just going, you know what, let's give up our 3rd rounder and just go get this guy because we're shocked that he's there. Like let's just say Bailey was their top guy and he's there at 4 or 6. Maybe they just say, hey, we got to go. We got to go get this guy. Okay, I can understand that. But I think they stay at 9 and they trade up from 29. If I had to guess, I think in a perfect world for them, it would be edge at early, like Bain, and then late, a corner, maybe a tackle. I will say this. If they take a tackle at 9, I think that's a horrendous pick. Like, I just do not understand the thought. Fano, a lot of people think is a guard because he has short arms. And Malinois just came out and needs surgery on his back. If you're the Chiefs and you're taking one of those guys at 9, when you don't even have a massive positional need there, that to be 29, okay, that's fine. They're your future. Okay, you want to take Blake Miller or Caden Proctor. You take one of those dudes at 9, and when you're sitting there and you need a receiver and a corner and an edge rusher, that would be, to me, a very poor allocation of resources.
All right, and my last question for you, Matt, about the Chiefs and their draft day setup. Again, they've got 9 and 29. They've got 40 and 74, their original picks in the 2nd and the 3rd round. At what point do you think they address wide receivers? Is that an early 2nd round? Is that a 3rd round? Or do you think that just might depend on if Carnell Tate's the best player available at 9, they take him? How do you think the Chiefs go about addressing that wide receiver spot?
Look, I'll preface it by saying anything's in play. Like, they could take, if Tate is there at 9, they're going to have a hard time not taking him. If Jordan Tyson is there, a lot of people think the Giants might take him, but if Jordan Tyson's there at 9, would the Chiefs take him despite the injury concerns? I think they'd be taking a huge risk, but they could. They could take Mekhi Lemon at 9. I think people feel like that would be a little early, but like not crazy early. I feel like if they don't take a receiver at 9, 29 is possible, but I think at that point you're probably just waiting 40. Maybe it's Chris Bell out of Louisville, who is a super, super talented kid, but he's coming off the ACL and he may not be ready to start next year. Maybe you wait, for a guy like a Bernard out of Alabama, somebody like that, or if a guy falls out of the first, a Denzel Boston, a Casey Concepcion, somebody like that. I would bet if it's not 9 that it's 40, but it all depends. That's what makes the draft so interesting. How does the board fall? What happens? What if Lemon falls to 20? Like if the Chiefs pick Bain at 9 and Lemon's sitting there at 20, do they just trade up and get him? But they could. So it just, there's so many different permutations of how it's going to work out.
All right, I lied, Matt. One more quick question. Which pick in the draft is the most interesting one to you? A lot of people say, obviously everybody knows Fernando Mendoza is going number 1. When does the draft start for you? What pick? Is it 2? Is because it seems like the Jets are going to either go Reese or Bailey. Is it 3? Is it 4 with the Titans? Where does this draft start to get interesting?
I could be wrong. I think it's 5. I think based on conversations, but also just based, quite frankly, on my own thought process. Like, we know Mendoza goes 1. I think Reese is going 2. I know there's been some Bailey smoke. I think Reese is going 2. 3, I know that the Cardinals have been talking about Jeremiah Love. I think that's going to be Maui Noah unless they're terrified of the herniated disc. And then I think if the Titans, if that board falls away, I think it's either Love or Bailey there. A lot of people think Love would be the pick. They added a lot of firepower on the defensive lines all season. And if that falls that way, at 5, what do the Giants do? A lot of people think they love Tyson. There's Jeremiah Love. There's been talk that they want a running back to go at Scatterbo. You have all these options. Bain is up front. I don't think they would take him. They've got a good deal on. But, would they take Caleb Downs? Harbaugh comes from Baltimore. They've had safeties galore forever. That pick is, and Tate, who they could pair with Neighbors. That pick is fascinating. If they take Tate and now Noah's gone, I don't know what Cleveland's going to do. I have no idea because everybody thinks they're going to take one of those 2 guys. And if they're both gone, does Cleveland trade back? Is that the door Kansas City needs to go up and get Bain at 6? There's so many things. But I'm fascinated about what the Giants are going to do at 5.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated and SI.com. Also appears on That Football Show on the KC Sports Network. Has his own subscriber-only Patreon, the Matt Verderame Show. And he joins us every Monday here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, thanks for being flexible. Always a pleasure. We'll talk to you after the draft next week.
Hey, thanks a lot. Take care.
That is Matt Verderame. We will take our first time out, but before we do that, we are overdue, in fact, on a Win 1K a Day sweepstakes keyword for this hour here on 580 WIBW, and we do apologize for that. The timing of the interview and having to move Matt Verderame around threw us off rhythm a little bit. So we do have a word for the hour, our Win 1K a Day sweepstakes here on 580 WIBW. We have this keyword for you to text in this 4 o'clock hour. You have until 5 o'clock to text the keyword to 785-272-9429. And the keyword is nose. N-O-S-E. Nose. I'm pointing to mine on the YouTube stream. Nose. N-O-S-E. Text the word nose, the body part, nose, to 785-272-9429 before 5 o'clock, and that will get you registered this hour for your chance to win $1,000 today from your friends at 580 WIBW. Now we'll take that break. We'll come back with What Is Wrong With You on 580 Sports Talk. It is What Is Wrong With You time on 580 Sports Talk. We've got a new week and 2 new stories set to compete. Spencer, I'm going to let you go first with your story today.
Yeah, we're going to Mexico, Missouri. I did not know that was a town.
It is.
A Florida man was arrested and charged after he allegedly struck several parked vehicles and the porch of a home there in Mexico, Missouri over
You
the
can
weekend.
take the man out of Florida. Go ahead.
Luis Soberan Campaniano, 30. Campaniani.
Just go with Luis. Luis is fine. Our guy
32
Luis
was arrested and processed at the Mexico Public Safety Department and was moved to the Adrian County Jail. According to public safety release documents, he is charged with leaving the scene of an accident with property damage exceeding $1,000, tampering with evidence, both felonies, along with 4 misdemeanors, including DWI. The Public Safety Department responded to a block along North Olive Street around 148 Sunday to report that a truck striking several parked vehicles, driving through yards and striking the porch of a home before leaving the area, according to the release. A few minutes later, officers stopped the suspected vehicle. According to court documents, he showed signs of impairment. Luis did during the traffic stop, and officers saw damage to the vehicle, according to the probable cause affidavit. He set to appear in court tomorrow under those felony charges.
Yep, sounds like he got loaded and drove real recklessly.
Yeah.
He should have not gotten behind the wheel after he sat down and had another beer in Mexico, Missouri. That's how the song goes, right?
Definitely.
All right, for my story today, we meet a gentleman who's been committing crimes all across this great land of ours, apparently. 28-year-old Jarrell Augustine faces a charge of grand theft in Irvine, California, where he was arrested on suspicion of stealing Legos. Lego theft. Wide-scale Lego theft. And here was his plan to get away with it. He would purchase legally Lego sets, and he would return them with pasta inside. Dried pasta.
Interesting.
Because if you shake a box of Legos and you shake a box of pasta,
they sound similar.
They sound pretty similar. And he has been doing this all over this great land of ours, up to $34,000 in stolen or damaged property from 70 known or suspected incidents.
Wow.
He was arrested, Augustine was, in an apartment in Paramount, but he is from Texas. According to Irvine, California police, the department became involved in December after Augustine bought and then returned 2 Lego sets with a combined value of $350 from a Target store in Irvine. He was connected to other suspicious merchandise returns through credit card records. All told, he may be responsible for about $4,000 in stolen or damaged merchandise just from Orange County Targets. And I don't mean Targets as in I mean the store, capital T, Target.
Got to use different cards there, my man.
Police said Augustine identified Lego sets with high-value collectible pieces, bought those sets, brought them to his residence. Sometimes he simply removed the valuable pieces. Other times, he swapped out the entire set with dried pasta. If you shake the Lego boxes with the swapped contents, says Ziggy Azarcone, public information officer for the Irvine Police Department, quote, they basically make the same sound. Creative, that's for sure. This is something that we haven't seen done before, so it was definitely unique for our investigators to be able to put this together piece by piece. At the suspect's residence, investigators found enough contraband Lego pieces to fill 2 garbage bags. Wow. 2 garbage bags full of stolen Legos. And they've got some displayed here in the article. A lot of them are like little figurines. They kind of look like they might be like Star Wars. I think there's a Captain America. I think that might be a Thor. Yeah, that's a Thor with Thor's hammer there. A couple of Captain Americas. Looks like maybe a couple of Star Warses. But stealing the Legos and returning them with pasta inside. You imagine, I'm going to buy my kid a Lego set. My son or daughter has wanted this Lego set, and I'm going to buy it for them for their birthday or for Christmas. This happened in November, December. I'm going to buy the Lego set that my kid wants. It costs a pretty penny, but you know what? For my child, it's worth it. You wrap it and you bring it home. Your kiddo, oh my gosh, it's the Lego set I've always wanted. Mom, Dad, I love you so much. And that kid goes to open it up and it's just rotini all over the kitchen table. Dried penne just rolling around the place.
Yeah, that would
imagine that feeling. Imagine the pit in your stomach if you brought home a returned Lego box full of dried pasta. And that's if they're putting them back out on the store on the floor at all, which they might not be. But meanwhile, this jamoke is running around selling on eBay. Yep, I got these rare Lego sets. Do they have the box? Nope. Please don't ask any follow-up questions. Do you want the Legos or not?
Box got damaged. The product's fine, though. It's still in mint condition.
$34,000 in stolen Legos in multiple states. This is multi-state crime spree this guy was running with these Legos. Incredible stuff. That's going to win today.
Oh, yeah.
We've got some names from the live chat on YouTube. Vance with the rigatoni robber. Paul says pilfered pieces. That's pretty good. That's wild. That's wild to me that you would think, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to steal the little Lego people and I'm going to replace them with like a little like elbow pasta, little elbow macaroni. That'll evade suspicion. I hope this guy does a lot of prison time. Genuinely speaking, I fear this man may be a mastermind, and I want him to be in prison for a very long time. Yeah. He is our winner on What Is Wrong. Lego My Lego from the text line for 785. That's pretty good. We thank you for the great names, as always, from the listeners. That is our first winner for the week on What Is Wrong With You. We'll come back after this timeout. We'll talk a little NFL draft. There's a rumor surrounding the Chiefs that I don't think makes a ton of sense. We're going to talk about why I don't think it makes a ton of sense when we come back. It is 4:37 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer with you. Text line is open, 785-272-9429. Also, welcome those who are on the live chat today on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not yet done so. All it costs you is a click of the mouse or a tap of your thumb on the screen. Get us closer to that 1,000 subscriber stretch goal. Love to get there by midsummer. Get there by the baseball all-star break. That seems reasonable.
Yeah.
That seems like a reasonable goal. Help us get there.
We got to figure out what we're doing.
We do. We do have to figure out what we're going to do for that. How about what we're going to do for the NFL draft? How about that?
Yeah, I think that we need to figure that out.
That is coming up on Thursday night, round 1 of the NFL draft. Now, they have sped up the clock this year. Instead of being 10 minutes on the clock, remember it used to be 15.
Yeah. So bad.
And then it was 10. Now it's going to be 8. 8 minutes on the clock for the first round of the NFL draft. Now, it's still going to be slow. It's not going to start right at 7 o'clock.
Hashtag advertisers.
Going to have to, they got the national anthem and the loyalty oath to the NFL and Roger Goodell's keynote speech where he's got to stand there and get booed for 45 seconds. And so
they have to take the breaks.
They'll put the Raiders on the clock probably at like 7:10, 7:15, give or take, which means we expect that the Chiefs will make pick number 9 roughly 8:30, 8:45. So that's roughly when the 580 Sports Talk crew will join you on the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe now, and then you'll get notified when exactly we go live. But we're going to go live right around when the Chiefs are scheduled to pick at number 9. If for whatever reason they have moved up and have already made a pick by then, we'll react to that. If they move back, we'll react to that. But we will react to that number 9 pick, which we believe. I think the Chiefs are going to make the number 9 pick. Just saying for the record right now, I think the Chiefs will stick at number 9 and make a pick there. But we will react to that pick live, and then we will react following pick number 29. We will react following the second pick of the first round. Let's put it that way, because I kind of agree with Matt Verderame. I don't know how you feel about it, Spencer, but I kind of agree with Matt. I think the Chiefs are going to move up from 29. I think if they're going to make a trade on Thursday, it'll be to go up from 29 and get up for either a receiver that they really like or a cornerback they really like before a run on either of those positions. But whenever the Chiefs make that pick, they'll make the pick, and after they make their second pick of the night, whenever that is, we'll go live again on 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. So we'll have live NFL draft reaction. We'll hang around for a little bit. If you're up late with us, I'm going to be up late that night anyway. That's a playoff double that night in the Lucero household. Game 3 in both the...
Just rub it in that both your teams are in the playoffs and this year even more, Dan.
Yeah, well, it's kind of an annual thing these days. But, Avs and Nuggets both play that night. So I'm going to have 3 screens going that night. Got the draft and got 2 playoff games. Both the playoff games start late, though, so I'm not going to be like mid having an aneurysm during the draft, which will be kind of nice. But I will all be live. Myself, Spencer Dupuis, Brendan Dworzinski will be live. We will be reacting to the Chiefs draft Thursday night on the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel. Anyhow, so the latest rumor that kind of percolated over the weekend, there's been a lot of talk about the Cardinals at the 3rd overall pick wanting to move down. And there have been some mock drafts out there that I have seen that suggest the Chiefs would be an interested party to move up to number 3 overall, with the potential that might give them a chance to draft Arvell Reese out of Ohio State. And I'm going to give you the one number that makes me very certain that Arvell Reese is not going to be the draft pick for the Chiefs at any position in the draft, but also that they're not going to trade draft capital to go up to number 3 to get Arvell Reese. And that number is 241 as in pounds. Chiefs don't like small edge rushers, guys. I don't know how to make it much more clearer to like the national media. Like, I know there are a lot of people that think Arvell Reese is the best player in the draft. A lot of people think that he could be the best player in the draft. Some people think like our Matt Verderame, that is Jeremiah Love. Some people think it's Caleb Downs. Some people love the athleticism of Sonny Styles. But there's a lot of thought that Arvell Reese could be, with his versatility, with his athleticism, the best player in the draft. And that's great. But for the Chiefs, you have to fit. For the Chiefs defense, you have to fit what they do. You have to fit what Steve Spagnuolo wants. And small edge rushers who can't play the run don't fit what Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs want. They've only gotten one defensive end like that in the time where Steve Spagnuolo has been their defensive coordinator. You remember who it was, Spencer? Joshua Uche. Do you remember how much Joshua Uche played?
Maybe like 10 total plays.
Slightly more than you and me.
Yeah.
His snap count was like just a tick above your snap count and my snap count.
I love still seeing his name pop up as places where he goes. And I'm like, how does this dude keep getting jobs?
Because he is a good pass rusher, but he's not big and he doesn't play the run. So he's not a fit with what the Chiefs want to do. Arvell Reese is 240 pounds. David Bailey can't play the run. I like David Bailey as a pass rusher. I'm not saying it would be a bad thing for the Chiefs to get either of those players. They're good football players. But when you're talking about edge for the Chiefs, you have to consider fit. If you're not considering fit, you're not getting the full picture. And for the Chiefs, the top tier edge that fits a Steve Spagnuolo defense and that fits what the Chiefs have historically wanted out of their defensive ends is Ruben Bain. So I think if it's not Bain, I don't think their first pick is going to be a defensive end. And I certainly don't think that they would part with 29 to move up 6 spots to go get Arvell Reese. Or frankly, 5 spots if Reese were there, because now there's some rumors that it's going to be, maybe it's David Bailey to the Jets at 2, and maybe the Cardinals really like, maybe they really like Jeremiah Love. Maybe they really like
Sonny Styles?
No, I'm thinking of the tackle, Moanoa.
Oh, Mono.
Oh, yeah, Francis Moanoa out of Miami. Maybe they really like either of those guys. And then at 4, maybe that brings Reese into play, and there's been talk. I should be more clear. There have been people speculating that if the Chiefs were going to move up in the first round, it would make sense for Brett Veach to do business with one of his former coworkers, Mike Berganzi, who now runs the show in Tennessee. So it would feel like a natural partnership that could come together and maybe make something work out. The Chiefs want to move up. I don't think they're going to move up. I said it last week, and I'm firmer in my belief the closer we get to draft day. The Chiefs should just let the board fall. And they're going to be able to add a blue chip talent at a position of need, significant dire need at number 9, regardless of how the draft board falls. Whether that's a wide receiver like Tate or Tyson, whether that's Bain, I think one of those 3 is going to be there at 9. And at that point, at least one of those 3. And at that point, it's just as simple as walking the card to the table and making a significant talent addition to your roster. So that's the rumor mongering that I disagree with. Here's the rumor mongering from earlier today that I actually do think is well-founded. This from Adam Schefter of ESPN. Put out is basically a big draft notebook piece today. If you were sitting at your desk, had some idle time, you probably read it. From Adam Schefter. The Chiefs have 3 top 40 picks, and many expect at least one of those to be used on a cornerback. Kansas City traded Trent McDuffie to the Rams, lost Jalen Watson to the same team in free agency, and is now left with its projected starting cornerbacks as Christian Fulton and second-year player Noel Williams. At last month's owners' meetings, Chiefs head coach Andy Reid praised the play of Williams, who played 44% of the snaps last season. The team believes in him. But the Chiefs also have holes at the position that are expected to be addressed this week. The Chiefs are entirely correct to be confident in how they develop mid-round to late-round cornerbacks. The track record doesn't lie. Jalen Watson was a mid-rounder. L'Jarius Sneed was a mid-rounder. Rashad Fenton was a sixth-rounder. Charvarius Ward, I think, was he was not a Chiefs draft pick, but he was I don't even remember if he was drafted at all or if he was like a sixth, seventh round guy from the Cowboys. But the point stands. Not a blue chip draft prospect. The Chiefs, Dave Merritt, Steve Spagnuolo have done yeoman's work with cornerbacks selected in that portion of the draft. That's true. But it's also true that you benefit from having a high level of talent at a position. I think the draft is really strong at corner where the Chiefs line up to pick late, whether that's 29 in the first round or early in the second round. I think the talent pool at corner is strong there. There are day one starters that you can come away with at 29 or even at 40. And I do think that as much as the Chiefs believe in their ability to develop those diamonds in the rough at cornerback, I think they also prize high-end talent at the position. How do I know that's true? They signed Kaiir Elam to a free agent contract this past offseason. They previously signed Mike Hughes when he was a first-round pick that had kind of washed out. They have tried to bring in that level of talent. And, oh, yeah, by the way, Trent McDuffie, first-round pick. Trent McDuffie, first-round pick, and the best cornerback on a defense that won back-to-back Super Bowls and appeared in the third in a row. So as much as the Chiefs trust and believe in development at that position, I don't entirely believe it's a position where they don't value high-end ability. And they're going to have a chance to go get somebody who's a early day two talent, whether that's late in the first round or early in the second round. Somebody like Colton Hood, somebody like Avion Terrell, somebody like Brandon Cisse, somebody like that. And I think if the Chiefs are able to address edge early and therefore don't take a pass rusher late in the first round, which that's another position where you feel like you come away with a starter, a day one starter late in the first round, early in the second round. I do think the Chiefs will use one of those two picks on a cornerback. And if there's a run or Brett Veach senses that there's about to be a run on corners and there's one they really like, maybe it's Jermon McCoy has slipped, maybe it's Terrell or Hood they want to make sure they get before anybody else can. That could be, I think, a spot where you could see the Chiefs move up. But I do think that they wind up with corner with one of those first three picks, particularly if they end up with an edge. If they take Bain at 9, I think it'll be a corner at either 29 or 40. If they don't, if they go wide receiver or somewhere else at 9, don't really think Delane's the play for them. I don't think that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think Delane might be off the board.
And yeah, Delane could go to Washington at 7, could go to New Orleans at 8.
Yeah.
If they do go some other direction at 9, then I think it's probably going to be edge. It's going to have to be. They've got to get a starter at edge. They cannot leave this draft without another guy who you can project as a starter, much like George Karlaftis was a rookie starter.
Yeah.
You have to get a starter at edge in this draft. And if it's not Ruben Bain, there's going to be somebody at 29, TJ Parker, Cassius Howell, somebody like that. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk after this. 4:54 on 580 Sports Talk. Wrapping up this 4 o'clock hour with some thoughts from the YouTube chat on Chiefs draft strategy. Paul thinks they ought to stay put at number 9, says they have many needs that can be filled at that spot. Moving up from 9 to 3 seems like a this guy or bust type of move. Andrew says if the guy isn't there at number 9, trade back and get Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon.
I don't think they're picking a tight end in the first round. I just don't think it's happening.
I don't think Kenyon Sadiq should go in the first round. Buyer beware. Like
didn't we discuss this on the show the other day?
I feel like we did, but
like if you had a prospect like, now I'm blanking on his name again, the guy
Tyler Warren
from the Colston Penn State
this
guy.
isn't Tyler Warren.
That's not it.
This isn't Colston Loveland. This is a guy who averaged 22 receiving yards a game in his career at Oregon. Like, looks great coming off the bus, but are we drafting underwear models or are we drafting football players? Like, I don't think Kenyon Sadiq is a first round talent. I have decided that is an opinion I feel very firmly about. I do not believe
I'm with you
that Kenyon Sadiq is a first round talent. MPM says Chiefs better get a defensive end and a cornerback. MPM, I think you're going to be pleased.
Yeah.
I think edge and corner are for certain going to be 2 of their first 3 picks. Definitely edge. They are not 3 top 40 picks in a draft that maybe is not deep on star edge talent, like blue chip, multi-time all-pro ceiling edge talents, but it's deep in guys who can start day one for you. Like, there are a bunch of those guys late in the first round that you can get. You're going to be pleased. MPM, I think I think both of those needs are going to be met. I think that you're going to see both of those players. Lenny the Cool, good to see Lenny back in the chat. It's been a minute, Lenny, on the YouTube chat. Says edge, cornerback, and defensive tackle. Now, DT is tricky because the high-end talent, there might not be a defensive tackle goes in the first round. Maybe the big kid from Ohio State, McDonald, maybe Peter Woods out of Clemson. Caleb Banks would, although, like, I love Caleb Banks' athleticism. Then I watched the film. He does not appear to know how to tackle, which is kind of a problem for a defensive player. Like, literally, like, there are plays where he gets to the spot and then just like, it's like he forgets what the object of the sport is. Running back just goes. Now, he's so quick to the spot. You think, hey, well, if I can teach him to tackle, I might really have something here. But yeah, high-end defensive tackle talent, no. I think that's a spot where the Chiefs probably end up waiting 3rd round at the earliest for DT. That would feel like a good use of one of their current 3 5th-round picks, is to get a guy basically who can play the Derek Nottie role, who can come in and be big down and spell Kyrus Tonga, because that's gonna be Tonga's job. Kyrus Tonga, the new guy, he's going to be in that role as the run stuffer. But they got to get a second guy who can do that, because they've got the pass rush DTs in Chris Jones and Omar Norman Lott. They need a second run stuffer. And position value speaking, you can get those guys 4th round, 5th round. And I think that's where you'll more likely see the Chiefs address that position. We'll take a timeout, wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk. In the 5 o'clock hour, we got headlines, including a playoff roundup. We're talking basketball, transfer portal, and more on those miserable Kansas City Royals who try and get off the schneid tonight on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk on this Monday evening. Thank you so much for being with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our streaming video channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube and WIBW News on Facebook. Like and subscribe, folks. Like and subscribe. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you for one more hour. With you until 6 o'clock tonight. Royals baseball follows. 6 o'clock pregame. 6:40 the first pitch from Kauffman Stadium tonight. Maybe home cooking is what the boys and blue need to snap their 7-game losing streak after an 0-6 road trip through Detroit and the Bronx. Seth Lugo on the mound against Baltimore's Kyle Bradish tonight. Again, 6:40, the first pitch. We'll have it for you here on the Royals Baseball Network on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. But before that, one more hour to spend together. We're going to do our 580 Sports Talk headlines, including a playoff roundup. We've got some transfer portal to get to, both KU and K-State making some portal additions over the weekend at the point guard spot that we'll get to, and also get to some more Royals baseball. The natives are not pleased. You missed it in the first hour. I'm not real happy either, and laid it out in the start of the program why this start is a lot more alarming than last year's very similar 8-14 start. And unlike last year, it's not the 2025 Rockies on the schedule as your get-right series coming back from a bad road trip. The Baltimore Orioles have not been great shakes to start this season, but they are also not the 2025 Colorado Rockies. Very few teams in the history of baseball have ever been. So the road is a little tougher ahead of the Royals if they're going to dig their way out of this early ditch. And again, be one thing if they were just losing close games. They were a pitch away or a base hit away on a night-in, night-out basis. And for a while there, they kind of were. But the caliber of play over the weekend was so dispiriting and so listless and so sloppy. And there's just not much in what we saw over the weekend that makes you feel like this is a team that's a bounce away or a pitch away or a game away even from turning the whole thing around. Of course, I am being blamed for this on the text line. Yeah, you text the program, 785-272-9429, 785-272-9429. You can also weigh in the live chat on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk. Hello, YouTubers. I am being blamed on the text line from the 785. Your Royals optimism was clearly misguided. This is on you for increased expectations. I wasn't the only one.
What?
Not only was I not the only one who in this group picked the Royals to go to the playoffs, I was not the only one who picked them to win the division. I mean, that was a
Pretty sure I was the most optimistic of all of us.
Yeah. How do you feel about that 96 win prediction from March, whatever it was? Wishing you could have that one back, maybe?
Well, maybe 96 losses.
They're playing like a 111 loss team. That's the kind of pace that they're on through 22 games. But I'm sure our texter maybe a little bit of jest there from the 785. But hey, wasn't just me.
Are you sure it's not Trenton?
It's not. No, I know Trenton's number. I know when Trenton texts the show. I know when Trenton texts the program. No, that's not Trenton. But I'm sure there's some jest there. But no. There were some real outside expectations, outside of this studio expectations for this Royals team. They have come a long way, or they have been a long way away from meeting so far this season. And again, the one thing if they were continuing to lose close, but the way they lost over the weekend, some of the mental mistakes, some of the physical mistakes, just bad baseball. And I always say the beauty of baseball is you're 9 innings from turning it around. You're a good starting pitching outing from turning it around. The Royals are back home. Seth Lugo's been great to start the year. He's back on the mound tonight. You never know. And there's a whole lot more baseball in front of this team than there is behind it. But the baseball that's behind this team has been extremely, extremely discouraging. And I don't like to say things like, well, it has to get better in a hurry on April 20th, because again, there are 140 baseball games left to play. It's so many baseball games. But for the sake of, I think, this team's psyche, it has to get better in a hurry. I think the urgency doesn't necessarily come from the standings or the number of games left to play. The urgency has to come from, guys, we got to show we're a better team than this, because this is embarrassing. So we'll get into more Royals baseball a little bit later on here on the program.
I was going to say, you got a text code.
Yeah, I do. That's
final one of the day.
Thank you for that. Our Win 1K a Day sweepstakes continues here on 580 WIBW. And you are due the final word for the day for our contest. We're giving away $1,000 each day here on 580 WIBW. All you've got to do to register for your chance to win is text a keyword each hour to 785-272-9429. Now, this isn't a situation where if you miss a keyword, then you're not registered. You don't have to, it's not like Pokemon. You don't have to catch them all. But the more keywords you hear and enter, the more chances you have, more raffle tickets you buy effectively. So here's this hour's keyword. Mouth. Mouth. M-O-U-T-H. I'm pointing to mine on the video screen. Mouth. Mouth is the keyword. Text the word mouth. M-O-U-T-H. What you talk out of. Mouth. Text mouth to 785-272-9429. You have until 6 o'clock to text the keyword this hour and get registered for your chance to win $1,000 today. The Win 1K a Day sweepstakes here on 580 WIBW. All right. Let's get into some headlines, shall we? Let's start with some college sports headlines from the area and a tip of the cap to one of the all-time great Jayhawks, Sharon Lokedi. For a second year in a row, she wins the Boston Marathon.
She bested her time by nearly 2 minutes.
4 minutes. 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 51 seconds. How far do you think you could run in 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 51 seconds? I'm just going to go ahead and tell you it wouldn't be 26.2 miles.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it'd be 26.2 laps on a track in 2:18:51. Holy Moses. And yes, you mentioned it. 4 minutes better than her championship time from last year. Boston Marathon Day today, Patriots Day in Boston. They had the early Red Sox game. One of the cooler, I think, American days is Patriots Day in Boston. You get the marathon. You get an 11:05 first pitch.
Was it always Patriots Day, or was there a unfortunate event that made it Patriots
No, I think
Day?
they always called it something.
Okay.
I think they always called it something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was all, to my knowledge. It could be Mandela effect, and I'm misremembering it, but no, that's always been the tradition. Is you have the marathon, you have the Red Sox game on the same day, and the former Jayhawk Sharon Lokedi wins her second consecutive Boston Marathon. So congratulations to her on yet another triumph in Beantown. How about other headlines, Spencer?
Yeah, speaking of KU baseball wins the series against Oklahoma State to remain on top of the Big 12 baseball standings. Unfortunately, though, their win streak did come to an end on Friday night as they fell in the contest. But then they won the next two games.
Technically, it came to an end Saturday afternoon. They had
yes, you're correct.
They had the rain short.
They had the rain shortened
suspended game. Right. Go ahead.
So they're still atop the Big 12 standings. That looks good for them, hosting a potential regional coming up here in a few weeks, or a month or so, I guess, would be the regional. But if they hold the top standings for the next few weeks, looks like that's going to happen. K-State baseball, they win the series against Arizona. They're back to 500 in league play, which is huge. They've had a tough season. They really tried to get themselves some huge competition in non-conference play, and unfortunately, that led to a little bit of disconnect when they got into conference play, but they're still pretty good, and they're back to 500, looking to get above 500.
They're not far off of getting into that top four, which is where you want to be in the league for conference tournament seeding. They're only 2 games back of Arizona State and UCF. It's tightened at the top. KU maintains a 2-game lead. They're 14-4 in the conference. And you have West Virginia at 12-6, Arizona State and UCF both 11-7. UCF lost another series. It's back-to-back series losses for the Knights. I believe they lost to Cincinnati over the weekend. TCU at 10-8, and then a big log jam at 9-9. That's the negative for K-State. They're 9-9, but so's Utah, so's Baylor, so's BYU. Cincinnati and Oklahoma State 8-10, Texas Tech, Arizona 6-12, Houston 4-14. But it is still KU with a 2-game lead with 4 conference series left to play. And speaking of both KU and K-State, they both have action midweek. Playing Grand Canyon. And then this weekend, and I'm double checking to make sure this is correct, big series at Taunton. K-State, KU, Sunflower Showdown baseball style coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Huge series for both teams. K-State trying to get back into that Big 12 mix, and KU trying to remain atop the league. KU getting their starting pitching rolling again. Dominic Bagley, 15 strikeouts in the Saturday game, which is a career high for him. And the Jayhawks, and I got to find this because it's a remarkable stat, but they are unbeaten this year with a lead after, I think it's like 6 innings. They get a lead, they hold the lead. I'm trying to find the stat here. I had it. By the way, if you are a Big 12 baseball fan or Big 12 baseball curious, you should subscribe to the Base 12 newsletter. It is free and it is comprehensive and helps me keep up with Big 12 baseball. 22-0, Kansas. That's from the Base 12 newsletter that I got in my email box earlier today. 22-0 when they lead after 6. That is awesome. That is how you host regional play. That is how you win a conference in the regular season. So yeah, good stuff from both KU and K-State. Series wins for both over the weekend. Next headline for me. How about a quick local NFL headline? Did you know? Because Spencer, you and I didn't. Did you know the Chiefs technically didn't have a punter under contract?
I had no deal.
Well, so Matt Quatraro was drafted by the Bills. Then he was cut from his rookie contract. There was an accusation, very unpleasant and graphic accusation against Ariza, stemming from his time at San Diego State. I'm always careful. I want to make sure the wording is right because I don't want to say his name was cleared necessarily, but he was dropped from the civil suit, as I believe. There was a civil suit, and he was removed from the civil suit. So once that happened, he was able to then continue to pursue his NFL career. Teams were more comfortable bringing him aboard. The Chiefs signed him, but because he was signed, he was a rookie, but he was not on a rookie deal. So that was kind of in my head. I'm thinking, well, yeah, he's a rookie. You know, you got him for 4 years, right?
Yeah.
You draft a guy, you get a 4-year rookie deal. Well, that's not the case. He was signed as a free agent. His rookie deal got crumpled up, thrown in the trash after that accusation, after the Bills cut him. So, yeah, he's been working on 1-year contracts. He just signed another one today. So, Matt Ariza will be back for a 3rd season as the Chiefs punter. Actually thought he improved in year 2. There weren't a lot of bright spots last year for the Chiefs. But I thought Ariza's improved directional punting was one of them. I thought he got a little better at dropping the ball inside the 20 and not just, hey, I'm going to see how hard I can kick this thing. So I thought Ariza was improved in year 2. And if he can continue to improve in year 3, all pro, I don't think are off the table. I think the Chiefs do just fine at punter with Matt Ariza. And he'll be back signing a 1-year deal. You've got another NFL headline for us, Spencer.
Yeah, the Bengals have acquired Dexter Lawrence. Spoke to this earlier with Matt Verderame literally about an hour ago. From the Giants for the number 10th overall pick. Sexy Dexty has a new team, and Bengals got a pass rusher after losing Trey Hendrickson And hopefully a fresh start for Sexy Dexy's good for him.
So now they have a pass rusher.
Yeah.
the Bengals now have a pass rusher. He signed a contract extension in conjunction with this trade. 1 year, $28 million. We asked Matt Verderame about this. We had our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, in earlier on the show. He had to move his appearance today. He was with us to start the 4 o'clock hour rather than at the bottom of the 3 o'clock hour today. So if you're looking for it on the podcast or you're looking for it in the YouTube archive, start of the 4 o'clock hour, start of the second hour today. He said in no uncertain terms he hates the deal for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Hates giving up the number 10 pick for a guy who's coming off an injury, coming off career lows in tackles and sacks this past season. Half a sack last year. Less than a sack. 1/2 of a sack in 2026 and only 33 tackles. This is why there's a lot of discussion out there about how good this draft really is, how deep this draft really is. And the Bengals calculus, as it is, anytime you trade a first-round pick, the decision you're making is, I'm not going to get a player with this draft pick that helped me more than this player is going to help me. Like, that is essentially, you are using your draft pick on the player. With the 10th overall pick, the Bengals select Dexter Lawrence. I do not think that an aging Dexter Lawrence, who you now have to turn around and pay, right? So he's going to get maybe not Trey Hendrickson money, but you're going to have to pay him top dollar. So there's all of this protracted drama with Trey Hendrickson for the Bengals. We want to keep him around. Not really willing to give him the money he wants. They signed him to a 1-year extension. He played out the spring, and now he's signed with, who did he end up signing with? Baltimore? Hendrickson?
Yeah, Baltimore.
Yeah. So he ends up signing with Baltimore.
Who looks bizarro in their new uniforms, by the way. They unveiled their new uniforms last week, and he looks bizarro in there. He just doesn't look like a football player.
So,
I know.
So all that drama with Trey Hendrickson, not to pay him, and now you're in a position where you have to pay Dexter Lawrence, including a $28 million extension right off the rip. Why not just pay Hendrickson and keep the number 10 pick and draft maybe Reuben Baines there at 10? You know, you add a young player who can help your defense. Instead, what you've ended up doing almost effectively is trading Trey Hendrickson and the number 10 for Dexter Lawrence. And who the hell would do that? Who the hell would think that was a good idea? So I don't know what the Bengals are doing. Like, they're a better team with Lawrence than without him, but he is not the guy who's going to walk in there and turn that defense respectable and turn that team into a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, no.
Now, they weren't going to draft a guy at number 10 who was going to do that. That's more about the mismanagement of that roster over the last few years. But I really don't understand that move from Cincinnati's perspective. From the Giants' perspective, they got 2 top 10 picks. They're in a great spot.
Yeah.
They can do whatever at number 5.
I'm not happy about that.
I'm sure, as a fan of another NFC East team. But, yeah, for the Giants, it's great. I'm sure the Giants, when Lawrence's representation came to them about a trade, I'm sure the Giants thought, oh, no way in hell are we going to be able to get, like, the number 10 pick. They thought, maybe somebody in the late first round, somebody where he could have been additive to a team with real Super Bowl aspirations. Maybe you could pick off a pick in the late 20s, maybe early second round. At the number 10 pick for a guy who had half a sack last year. Joe Shane, I owe you an apology. I was not familiar with your game. You know what that is? Joe Shane, DePaul University. That's uncommon success right there. Him and I share an alma mater. All right, let's get to the winner's circle real quick, and then we'll do the playoff roundup here on our 580 Sports Talk headlines. They were racing in Kansas Speedway over the weekend, and Tyler Reddick won again.
5 wins in 9 races.
Unbelievable.
Literally. Also, the great one, Michael Jordan was in the same state as us.
Yeah, MJ was in the house.
Yeah.
MJ was in the house.
He's now done more interviews on Fox than he's done on his NBC, whatever, special correspondent interview
No, that's
gig
true.
that they were supposed to
That's
do.
true. And NBC pimped that so hard. We're going to have interviews with Michael Jordan throughout the season. He did like 2.
Yeah.
And they're in the playoffs now. They were only ever 2 of those. But yeah, he's showing up just about every week. Tyler Reddick winning almost every other week on the NASCAR Cup Series. So he won the pole and then turned around and won all 4 of the cars in Michael Jordan's 23XI race team.
Did you
finished in the top 15?
Did you see the end of the race?
I did not.
Kyle Larson was about to win because it looked like he was running out of gas, Tyler. But then he didn't run out of gas, and he came back to win in the extras. It was crazy.
So, yeah, great win for Tyler Reddick. Good weekend of racing out at the Kansas Speedway. Another good weekend, too, for the professional sports franchise of Topeka, Kansas. Gary Woodland with a T8 at the RBC Heritage, including a walk-off eagle on the 72nd hole. You see that shot, Spencer?
I did not.
204 yards. 204 yards in on the 18th at Harbortown, and just a bullet, just an absolute bullet of an iron. 2 hops, hits the stick, checks up, pops in for the eagle. That moved him into the top 10, got him into a tie for 8 at the event. He's now 20th in the FedEx Cup standings. That would be comfortably in to the FedEx Cup playoffs when that rolls around. Obviously, there's a lot of season left, but top 70 make the playoffs. And Woodland's got a win, and he's got another top 10 in a signature event. The RBC Heritage is a signature event, so he's got a top 10 in one of those. That's big points. Because he won in Houston, he's automatically in all the other signature events and the majors, so he's going to have a chance to stack some more FedEx points. Been really, really great to see the golf Gary Woodland's play in the last month and change. Some of the best golf of his career, really. For Gary Woodland, the professional sports franchise of Topeka, Kansas. As for who actually won the thing, Matt Fitzpatrick was the winner.
Day.
Yes, he beat Scotty Scheffler in a playoff. Which
I turned it on right when the playoff was starting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome iron in to like 8 feet for the on 18 for the win for
Scotty messed it up there a little bit.
Matty Flagstick, Matthew Fitzpatrick. I call him Matty Flagstick because he putts with the flagstick in.
Yeah.
Which I do too, because I'm just too lazy to go and take it out if I'm playing like by myself or with friends. Just leave it in. I'm not a good enough putter. I'm probably gonna it's going in, I'm probably banking it in off the flagstick. Just leave it in.
I've got a Chiefs note for you that just became official.
Okay, give it to me.
Not only did punter Matt Rise to come back on an exclusive free agent rights deal.
IRFA.
So did wide receiver / punt returner Nico Remigio.
Okay.
He's officially back with the squad, according to the NFL transaction report.
So I'm not.
Which I thought he was on the team too.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure he's going to make the team.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be in a battle for the return role and come down to maybe him and Rashard Smith. And honestly, that roster spot might just be one of those 2 guys, depending on what they do at running back. If they add a running back in the draft or if they re-sign Kareem Hunt, how many running backs they want to carry. Does Rashard Smith make the team anyway? Or if he makes the team, is it only as the return specialist? Which I think there's a case to be made that he should, because he was the best return guy on the roster last year. But Remigio will come back with a chance to fight for a spot. And the Chiefs are pretty thin at wide receiver on their 90-man roster right now as it is. So they probably just need some camp bodies as well. Anyhow, that's it for the winner's circle, which means it's time now on the 580 Sports Talk headlines for the playoff roundup.
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
We'll start with the puck. Highlight of the weekend, the Buffalo Sabres in their first playoff game in 15 years score 4 goals in 6 minutes in the third period to beat the Boston Bruins and take a 1-0 series lead in that Eastern Conference first-round series. If you haven't seen the clip, go watch the go-ahead goal. You want to talk about a crowd letting out
a hungry crowd.
15 years. They've waited 15 years to make some noise like that in Buffalo. It is a goosebump moment when I think it's Samuelson scored the go-ahead goal. Awesome stuff from the Sabres. That was the highlight of the weekend action. 7 of the 8 playoff series in the NHL are underway. It's a good weekend to be a division champion. Buffalo, Carolina, Colorado, and Vegas all won their first-round games on home ice over wildcard teams. But in the three other series that began over the weekend, the road teams stole game one. Minnesota beat up on Dallas. Montreal rallied to defeat Tampa Bay in overtime. And Philadelphia held off Pittsburgh. Tonight, the Flyers, Hurricanes, and Wild seek 2-0 series leads. Edmonton and Anaheim open up their series. That's the last of the first-round series to open. That is the late game tonight. Over in the NBA, home teams went 7-1 in the first round. The only exception, the number 8 seed in the East, Orlando, stunned number 1 seed Detroit in the first round in game one of their first round Eastern Conference playoff series. All of the other home teams won and did so in relatively routine fashion. Not a lot of games went really down to the wire over the weekend. Tonight, Cleveland, New York, and Denver looking for 2-0 series advantages. Cleveland taking on Toronto in the 4-5 series out east. New York in the 3-6 series hosting Atlanta. And over in the West, Denver, the number 3 seed, taking on the 6 seed Minnesota. So I've got a little sweat tonight, to say the least. That game will tip off probably about 9:45.
Late night.
Going to be a late night for your boy.
Yeah.
Not that I haven't had a lot of those lately, but yeah, it's time. It's time to put the extra pot of coffee on and stay up late for some playoff stress. I was telling my wife, I say, I've always needed a less stressful hobby than being a sports fan, but now that I'm the parent of a toddler, I really need less stressful hobbies than this. I could use about a 30-point win tonight. Denver won game one. They didn't shoot well from three at all. If they can go out and make like 45% of their threes tonight, win by 25, I would really appreciate that. I could even maybe get to bed early in that case, relatively. That does it for the playoff roundup. When we come back, we'll talk a little transfer portal. We'll get to more of the Royals. You listeners not pleased with the Royals right now, and it is hard to blame you. We'll come back with more 580 Sports Talk right after this. .535 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer hanging out with you. Text lines open, 785-272-9429. A lively live chat today on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Casey Alexander and Bill Self both welcoming some new additions to their basketball rosters over the weekend. K-State went first as they continue to flesh out Casey Alexander's first roster in Manhattan. Montana Wheeler committed over the weekend, a point guard previously at Bradley. So that's the familiarity that Alexander would have with Wheeler, having seen him up close and personal in the Missouri Valley Conference this past season. Listed at 5'10", which means he probably isn't actually 5'10". My source on that is somebody who says he's 5'10". And that would be me. Montana Wheeler, it was a 3-star commit out of high school, played his freshman year at Bradley, averaged 8.5 points, 3 assists per game. Bradley went 21-13 and went to the NIT. His older brother was a bigger deal recruit, Severe Wheeler. He played at Georgia, Kentucky, and Washington over a well-traveled college
Did you say
career.
Severe?
I think that was his name, Xavier Wheeler. Yeah, Xavier Wheeler.
Okay.
Yeah, Xavier Wheeler. I probably didn't put the proper emphasis on the syllable, but yeah. I believe it was Xavier Wheeler, who played at Georgia, I remember him playing at Kentucky, and they finished up at Washington. K-State probably did not have a true point guard, and now they do. And they've continued now to fill out their roster. I believe they're up to 11 now on that side. And like many of the players that Alexander has signed, a lot of eligibility remains for Montana Wheeler. 3 years, in fact, of eligibility remaining for Montana Wheeler. KU got on the board again this morning with the reigning freshman of the year in the MAC, Leroy Blyden Jr., committing out of Toledo. And this is one that the analytics folks are really excited about. Evan Miyakawa, evanmia.com, said this was the best mid-major guard in the portal, Leroy Blyden Jr. He commits after one season at Toledo, where, again, he was the freshman of the year in the MAC. Kid can shoot the rock. How about 40% from three this last year and 40% from NBA range as well? So he's not just getting his toes up to the tape and letting it fly. He was making some long ones. Averaged 16.5 points a game on 51% shooting from two, in addition to 41% overall from three. 4.5 assists, 4 rebounds per game. Not real big, like bulky big. He's 6'1", but have some need to probably fill out. But 3 years of eligibility left for Leroy Blyden Jr., who had experience playing both on and off the ball with a more veteran guard, which is important because he's probably going to be starting in the backcourt next year for KU alongside the freshman Talon Kinney. So his ability to do some ball handling, but also be comfortable off the ball, being a spot-up option from three, that's really going to help Kansas's offense. It won't be a very big backcourt. Kinney's only about 6'1". Blyden's only 6'1". Kinney's got really long arms, so they say plays bigger, but still, 6'1" is 6'1". So it's a smallish backcourt. They're going to need to get bigger on the wings. They're going to need to get bigger in the front court. Cole Rosario helps. If they can get Victorious Miller from Oklahoma State, who's 6'5", they get him out of the portal as kind of a sixth man on the wing. I think they've got a decent shot to land him. That will help add some size. Certainly, if they close the deal with Tyron Stokes, that's a big help. He's 6'7".
That looks like we're going to find out soon. Looks like we're coming to a conclusion soon.
I mean, we have to, right? Like the portal's about to close. Like tomorrow's the last day you can get in the portal. After tomorrow, you cannot get in the portal.
Unless your coach has been fired.
Unless your coach gets fired, which at this stage, that'd be some shady business. If coach gets fired past tomorrow, they did something wrong.
Yeah,
probably they like embezzled money or something.
Or pulled a.
What's the old line from the politician in Louisiana? The only way I lose this election is if I get caught with a dead girl or a live boy. Yeah,
I've not heard that line. I was going to say unless they pull a Bob Huggins.
Have you not heard that line? It's a good line.
No, I was just going to reference Bob Huggins.
Oh, well, yeah, that's another possibility. But anyhow, yeah, with the portal about to close, like you're going to start to see, a little clearer picture of what rosters are going to look like if that's what Stokes was worried about. I think he's going to KU. Like I don't have like a ton of Like, I don't have boots on the ground with the Stokes camp. I don't have any sources. I'm playing coy from you. I just read the breadcrumbs are leading to Tyron Stokes, Kansas Jayhawk. And so if they add him and they've got Keanu Dawes, looks like Paul Embiid is going to stick around. He's got a little bit of time if he hasn't signed an agreement yet. His people want him to get in the portal, that feels very shady, but that's a whole other conversation for another day. We could spend a whole show talking about how shady that is, I think we could. I think we very well could. So KU's going to get big everywhere else, which I think is going to be beneficial because they won't be huge at guard, but I like Blyden a lot. I think that he is a big upgrade for them at the 2 guard, and I'll be interested to see how him and Kinney are able to play off of each other. We'll take one last break. We'll come back. Royals baseball tonight. That may or may not be a good thing, depending on how you feel about the boys in blue lately. And I'm reading the text and I'm reading the comments in the YouTube, and you are wrong. You are mad, and you are right to be mad about the brand of baseball the Royals have put forward through 22 games. We'll talk some baseball when we come back here on 580 Sports Talk. .544 here on 580 Sports Talk. Coming down the home stretch of the program today, 6 o'clock, we'll hand it off to the Royals Baseball Network. Royals and Orioles tonight at Kauffman Stadium as the Royals return home for what everyone hopes will be some restorative home cooking after that 0-6 road trip. Royals sit at 7-15. That's the worst record in the American League, tied with the Mets for the worst record in baseball. And the Mets are off tonight, so if the Royals' losing streak does extend to 8, they'll be all alone at the bottom of Major League Baseball. Orioles are 10-12, sitting in the middle of the pack in the American League East. Their starting pitcher is right-hander Kyle Bradish, who missed most of last year after Tommy John surgery, has returned this year, has made 4 starts, a 5.49 earned run average, 21 strikeouts in 19 2/3 innings, but he's also walked 10. So a Royals lineup that can tend to be on the patient side should see a lot of pitches tonight against Bradish. The lineup that will face the right-hander will be Michael Garcia leading off at third base, Bobby Witt Jr. at short, Vinny Pasquantino at first. Salvador Perez DHing again tonight and batting cleanup. In case you missed the note from the Royals from Perez yesterday, dealing with a bit of hip soreness is Perez. And that is why they called up Elias Diaz on Sunday to have an extra catcher on hand, because Perez was going to catch for a few days. And right now, you can't take Carter Jensen out of the lineup. He's the team leader in home runs and runs batted in, so he's got to play every day. So the Royals, in effect, need a backup catcher while Salvador Perez is relegated to strictly DH duty while he manages that hip pain. So Perez is DHing tonight, and then Carter Jensen's batting fifth and doing the catching tonight. Pair of left-handers follow Jensen. Michael Massey batting sixth at second base. Jack Caglione is batting seventh in right field. Then Isaac Collins in left. Kyle Isbell in center. Why not Caglione higher than Massey? Great question. Cags is actually, I thought, doesn't have a home run yet, but I've really been kind of pleased. There's not a lot to be pleased with the Royals, but I'll say that the young guys are putting out some good at bats. Caglione's hitting the ball hard. He's got a 270 batting average. Carter Jensen obviously is hitting the ball over the fence. He's got carrying the team's leading OPS right now. So it's good that the young guys have shown some early season prowess. I don't know why Cags doesn't get bumped up in the order for Michael Massey. Massey is in the lineup tonight because Jonathan India is headed to the injured list. We mentioned that earlier. Left shoulder subluxation for India. He is on the 10-day IL. Nick Lofton recalled from AAA Omaha to replace him. Seth Lugo's off to a great start for the Royals, one of the few bright spots so far this season, carrying a 1.48 earned run average into tonight's game against this Baltimore lineup. Shortstop Gunnar Henderson leading off. He has 7 more home runs this year than Bobby Witt Jr. Taylor Ward, the longtime Royals would-be trade target that they could never quite consummate there for about 2 years. And all he's done is go over to Baltimore and one of the American League leaders in doubles, hitting .295. He is in left field tonight. The wonderfully named Dylan Beavers is DHing and batting third. Pete Alonso, making a slow start to life in Baltimore, is the first baseman batting cleanup. Samuel Basayo is the catcher batting fifth. And Jeremiah Jackson, who's been a big surprise for the O's so far, batting sixth at second base. Colton Cowser is the right fielder. Leody Taveras in center. And Blaze Alexander is the third baseman batting ninth. They are not the 2025 Rockies. They are a sight better than that, these Orioles. And that is yet another reason for pessimism, because last year when the Royals got off to that hideous start, they were 7-14, and they sneaked one past the Tigers on the last day of that rough road trip to get to 8-14 through 22 games. And then they came home and they got to play Colorado. And sweeping Colorado and then sweeping the White Sox in 4 the week after that, being able to play 2 of the worst teams in the game, bang, bang, like that, was really huge in allowing the Royals to dig their way out of the ditch that they had dug for themselves with their slow start. Well, the schedule doesn't cooperate this time around. Baltimore's better than either of those 2 teams from last year. The Angels and the A's are both off to very mediocre starts, but I wouldn't say that either of those teams is as bad as last year's Rockies or last year's White Sox. Gosh, if the Royals were in the West, they'd only be 4 games out of first place. The A's and Rangers are 11-11 and tied for first place in the American League West.
Yeah.
Nobody with more than 13 wins in the American League still. All the good teams are over in the NL. Atlanta, the Dodgers and the Padres, 15 wins. The Reds somehow, the metrics do not support this, but they are 14-8.
For now,
yes.
Yeah,
they're gonna come back down to earth. Certainly.
Yeah,
but the Royals are a mess, and again, it's one thing where to lose close, you're in games, but you're just not getting the hit with runners in scoring position, or you're just not getting, the crucial out. When it keeps happening, and then the bad baseball starts to stack on top of that. When you lose your composure a little bit, you start running into to mistakes. You run into more outs. You give away more at bats. You get embarrassed on back-to-back days in New York. This is a lower point to me than the Royals found themselves in at any point last year. And if they're going to turn it around, it's not because the schedule cooperated with them. They're going to have to go earn it in the dirt. There's no light stretch of the schedule coming to save them this year. They're going to have to go beat some teams that can tie their own shoes. And that has to start tonight. Again, good place for it to start. You're back home, sleep in your own bed last night. You got Seth Lugo on the bump, who's turned out 4 great starts to open this season. Plus side of your bullpen should be plenty rested. God knows you didn't need him on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
It's go time. It's go time. And a win tonight makes Saturday and Sunday feel a little further away and makes some good things feel possible again. That is, once again, the beauty of this sport. You got another day in 24 hours, or a little more in this case. You got a chance to shower off a bad game and a bad weekend and start a homestand on a high note. But the way that this team has played and the seeming lack of accountability right now on this team is not raising the confidence that they're capable of the turnaround. But that's why they play the games, and they will play one tonight at Kauffman Stadium in a little less than an hour. We'll take a time out here in 580 Sports Talk. We'll come back with the final word, put a wrap on 580 Sports Talk today. All right, let's wrap up this edition of 580 Sports Talk with a final word. Spencer Dupuy, what you got?
From what I understand, things have been put behind them, but for the fact that Salvador Perez snapped this weekend the way he did with how things were worded about why he wasn't in the lineup and him taking to social media, that just says where the Royals are right now as a team, and that is not a good place. Obviously, I wasn't on for a majority of the Royals talk today, but you can't have your captain, the guy, the most beloved guy in the world on this team, have to come out and say to the contrary of why he wasn't playing in a game. And I just think that is bad for business and bad for a horrible look for Matt Quatraro. That would have been my ugly on Good, Bad, and Ugly. I'm assuming you're ugly as well. Also, gotta hate allergies because they're hitting me horribly right now.
That was also my bad from the weekend. Yeah, that first mow, brother, that gets you. That especially you're maybe mulching those last few leaves that get under the deck, and you got to pull them out. And these are homeowner problems. Maybe you don't have these problems like I got these problems.
I was fine until I walked out of my door today, in which they had just mowed the lawn. And then I had an appointment earlier, so I ran back home because it was literally right around the block from where I live. And they were mulching all the beds in front of our building.
Got to do it.
And I was like, no.
Got to do it.
It's been worse ever since.
It's not pleasant, but I got to do it. Final word for me today is just that. If I'm Matt Quatraro, I'm not worried so much about losing baseball games. I mean, I'm worried about losing baseball games. Don't get me wrong. My job is to win them, and I'm worried about losing them. But I think it's more concerning as it pertains to Matt Quatraro, how sloppy and how uninspired his team looks, how he went out and tried to do the old, I'm going to inspire the team by getting myself ejected from a game, and his team went on to lose that game 13-4. And I am a little surprised that he didn't bench Salvador Perez for Sunday after Salvador Perez's social media outburst. The kind of thing you can put a stamp on the team a little bit and show you got a little authority and show that guys, even the captain, need to be accountable. And Q missed that opportunity to do that. And it's understandable why some are losing some faith in maybe his ability to pilot this ball club. A win would be some wonderful deodorant for the Royals. We'll see if they can get it. Royals baseball's next. We're back tomorrow 3 until 6. For Spencer, I'm Dan. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.